Hi, Steve Camel here. Welcome back to the Journey of Life. Our story today is the second part of a two-part series titled The Becky White Story. If you've not seen part one, I suggest that you view that powerful video first. When we left Becky at the end of our previous video, she had just lost her infant daughter, Tiffany Ann. Today, we're going to pick up from there for an amazing story of, well, let's allow Becky to tell the story for herself.
After my daughter passed away, the nurses gave me a chance to hold her for the first time without all the wires and the tubes. And they asked me if I'd like to. And of course, I wanted to be alone with her. She had just passed away. They escorted me into a room with a rocking chair. And I looked at my daughter, who still looked very much alive to me. And I told God, if you're there, and I don't know if you are, but if you are, I need help. Look what I've done. After my daughter passed away and I gave my life to Christ, I was expecting some birds to sing and the sun to shine and life to all of a sudden be very different. And it wasn't, because my thinking wasn't any different. I kept making the same bad choices. I married the father of my daughter. I had 3 more children over the next few years. By the time I was 19, he decided marriage really wasn't for him. And so I found myself a divorced single mom, 3 children, and thinking that God had let me down. Because isn't life supposed to be easy when you're a Christian? You know, I don't know where I heard that and what made me think that, but that's what I thought. And I married a man who I thought was fantastic. I'd only dated him for 3 weeks. Didn't take any longer than another 3 weeks and find out that he has a huge temper. He was very violent with me. He was not violent with my kids physically, but emotionally it was very traumatic for them. And I have to take ownership of allowing that in my kids' life. It's hard for people to understand that cycle of letting them come back, and then they beat you up, and you let them come back, and they beat you up, and they leave. And there's just this hope within you that maybe this time it'll be different. And so, in any case, I let that go on for 25 years. I remember walking down the hallway here when it was the Garden Church, and Pastor Steve just innocently said to me, "Hi, how are you doing?" And I said, "I'm fine." And kept walking. But something just snapped inside me, and I turned around and I walked back and I stuck my head in the door and I said, "I'm not fine." After that conversation in the hallway, I began making some changes at home and drawing lines in the sand and creating good, healthy, reasonable boundaries. He didn't like that at all, and it culminated with eventually he and I getting divorced. By this time I had 3 more children, and one of those was a son who was stillborn. And he's buried beside my daughter at St. Joseph Cemetery. I wanted to really get my focus off myself and, poor me and all of that, so I started serving in a better way. In the midst of that, I met Stu White, who was doing the same thing, having gone through his own challenges over the years. I admired his humility more than anything. He would meet someone at the door, and I don't care if the guy was the pastor that was going to speak and he's dressed in nice clothes, or it was one of the folks that we serve living on the land that had, the slobber coming down and, the aroma of urine just kind of wafted through the air. It didn't matter. He treated both of them the same, and I admired that. I have had the privilege of being his wife. And we have that kind of relationship that we can laugh at ourselves and laugh at each other and the absurdity of where we have been and where he has brought us. Well, how my life has been impacted by serving at the Dream Center with my husband. First of all, they call me Mrs. Stu, most of the folks that we serve with, which is just like, that's my badge, Mrs. Stu. I'll never get tired of hearing that. But we get to share authentically. I may not have been exactly where you are, but pretty darn close. And God has walked us through. Look what He's done. So in my own life, God has just given me the privilege and the blessing of taking all of my bad choices, all of the bad things other people have done, and put them together and use them for something. I began writing devotions for difficult days, my difficult days, born out of a prayer journal. That's how it all started. So I started writing. My first published piece of work was for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. It was a poem I wrote about trusting God and His faithfulness in the midst of. Barber Publishing Company published my first book. My books are available through Amazon or on my blog, Devotions for Difficult Days. I also have a Facebook page with the same name, Devotions for Difficult Days. And my whole goal is to encourage people, not with some flowery, false cotton candy fluff, but to encourage them with authentic hope to trust God no matter the circumstance.
To trust God no matter the circumstance. That is really the epitome of faith. And what an incredible life journey Becky White has traveled. From God, I don't even know if you're there, but if you are, I need help. To my goal is to encourage people to trust God no matter the circumstance. Well, where are you on your life journey? Where Becky began? Maybe more where she is now. It's okay either way. It's okay because there is a loving, patient God who's just waiting for us to be open to His love and His acceptance. He doesn't ask us to earn it, nor to pay for it. All it takes is, God, if you're there, I need help. He will answer. And if you will allow God to take the lead, He will take you on a journey of life no less incredible than that of Becky White. God will take you places you could never go alone. Just ask Him. I'm so glad you joined me today on the journey of life. If this story has touched you, please send me a post. Even better, email me at the address on your screen. One more thing. If you would please, like us on Facebook and share Becky's incredible story with your friends. Until the next time we meet on the journey of life, may God's best blessings be yours.